Sauce Gardner heading over to the Indianapolis Colts as they go all in on this season and beyond. As I think a lot of people have been noting, that move does not just say, hey, we like what we have this year. It says we like what we have moving forward, and that includes Daniel Jones as their starting quarterback for Dallas. What does that decision to bring in Quinnen Williams say? That means they're poorly ran, but we already knew that.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They didn't panic. They played like a championship team. They came back and destroyed them, probably cost Brian Kelly his job at least a week earlier than it might have happened before. But the fact is they are playing great. But like I say, I like the talent level of all those teams. And I think if you want to have a little bang for your buck and play around with a team that could slide in, Ole Miss might be that team.
The Bowden Blitz. Only on SportsGrid.
Governor calls you out in the football state. You're out.
And it was so funny, too, because after he fired Kelly on Sunday, right, Woodward released a statement that said that, you know, in effect, that he was still in charge of the athletic department. Well, you didn't check with the governor because apparently he had other plans for the athletic department, and you're not in them.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on Sports.
Welcome into the Early Line, the Friday edition, a Football Friday right here on the SportsGrid Network. These are the days that we love because the hard work has been put in. Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, which is hump day, Thursday, where you can just about see the weekend until you get to Friday, and it is the weekend. NBA action, the Cup's in there. You know the NHL is revving and ready to go. We actually have real basketball games in college basketball, and more importantly, to get you set up on a big-time college football Saturday and an NFL Sunday. It's the Early Line. Our design is to get you ready. We will do that today. Me, Donnie Rightside, he, Joe Ranieri. That's how it gets done.
I'm looking forward to it, man. A absolutely huge weekend in store for us here. Love having a full slate, first full weekend of college hoops. Donnie, as the NBA back in action, the NHL off and running. I mean, there is literally a little something for everybody heading into this weekend.
Absolutely there is. And sometimes you like to spin that wheel, not know where it actually lands on. I don't even know what the caffeinated Joe scenario is this morning, but I know it's going to be good. Why? It's a Friday, Joe. Get the people caffeinated.
Well, Donnie, as we get ready for week 11 of the college football season, well, you know, millions of college football fans are going to wake up tomorrow and, well, not have access once again to watch their favorite teams play. So today, of course, we're talking about the Battle of Behemoths, YouTube TV versus Disney and ESPN. And guess who's stuck in the middle, Donnie? That's right. Those of us YouTube TV subscribers who woke up last week to watch college football only to find, well, no college game day. And ESPN and Disney now want you to believe that, well, content is king. They think they have all the leverage, Donnie. They're even running ads right now and having announcers tell you to, well, switch to Hulu. It's, well, their own streaming service. Like it was that easy, Donnie. Like, oh, yeah, just switch. Problem solved. Let's just add another app to our already over-apped life here, Donnie. Well, guess what? I've got news for those at Disney and ESPN. See, content is important, but content is not king. The consumer is king. And the numbers are already proving it, Donnie. Monday Night Football ratings down over 21% from last year. A Cowboys game in primetime dropping double digits. That is absolutely unheard of. That is the sound of millions of YouTube TV subscribers and people saying, not switching, not going to do it, been down this road before. You see, I think they underestimated something very powerful here, Donnie, and that's the power of convenience. Our lives are already hectic. We don't want more craziness, and what we really don't want is we don't want another app to have to learn how to do it and then add that and pay for that, and then I can't remember if I have this and what's the password. People want convenience. They don't want another app in their life just simply because $2 billion companies can't agree on how to split our money, Donnie. And this is exactly what happened with cable, if you recall. They kept raising rates, forcing channels down our throats, and we finally said, yeah, no, we're good. We're cutting the cord. Now streamers are playing the same greedy game. They're hoping us sport fans will be irrational and throw money at it because, well, that's what we are as sports fans. We're irrational. But they may have missed one big fact here, Donnie. Disney is reportedly losing $5 million a day during this blackout. So my message here, Donnie, is keep holding out, YouTube TV subscribers. Keep proving them wrong, because as long as we don't cave and as long as we just don't blindly follow their orders to switch, we are the ones holding all the cards. Content may be important, Donnie, but without us to watch it, it's absolutely worthless.
The almighty dollar crushes everything, and that is the issue. And you're so right about this. Why should we, as watching football, say, okay, you get the ticket on Sunday, that's great. But then on, Monday Night Football, it's different. Then you have Netflix you have to watch, and then you have Amazon Prime you have to watch. It's nonsense here. And I do agree, like back in the day, and only back in the days, a couple years, the cord cutters out there, they're right. But now we're getting to the point where make me commissioner of sports, one centralized location that you pay for, and you watch all of these sporting events, and you don't have to go to different apps. Because the one thing we do, like Joe, you're right, is convenience. You know what I can't stand? When I pop on Amazon Prime and I watch the game and I go, hey, let me flip over to the Flyers game, or let me flip over to an NBA game. Oh, I got to get out of the app. And then I see the score there. Then I got to get back into the app to watch that game, and it kills like 2 minutes, and I miss like 5 plays. It doesn't make any sense. I understand why sports leagues do this, because if Netflix goes, we'll give you $1 billion for 7 games, I go, heck yeah. But it hurts your sport long term, and you're seeing that now. Joe is so right about this. Enough of the nonsense. Give the power back to the people. We just want to watch sports, and yes, we'll pay for it, but just make it easy to do. That's all we ask for, convenience here, Joe. Let's get to the early lineup here on a Football Friday morning, and we do have sort of a story that didn't land so pleasantly yesterday, and it's devastating in all its ways. You never know what's going in on the side of an individual. They could be smiling on a day-to-day basis and having the worst nightmares at home. You take a look at Marshawn Nealon, passed away yesterday due to suicide here. A devastating story across the NFL that had a lot of people talking about yesterday, just asking the simple questions. Hey, if you feel somebody's having issues, if you're having issues, get some help, ask some questions, and get somebody to certainly take care of that situation here. Sad, sad news yesterday in the NFL sports landscape.
Just awful on so many levels, Donnie. It was just absolutely horrific to learn about it all throughout the day. I mean, they had a moment of silence last night before the Denver Raider game. Just heartbreaking. And it just goes to show you, be kind to people, Donnie. We get enough aggravation in our lives. You never know what somebody may be going through. So just show some compassion. Just, it doesn't hurt, doesn't cost anything to be nice here, Donnie. And it's just such an unfortunate situation for his family and everybody involved.
It touches every walks of life, because you hear a lot about the PTSD there of veterans coming home from war, maybe homeless people, maybe poor people, happens to rich people as well, and even people that you feel are on top of the world. An NFL football player just starting his career. Sometimes you just never know, so always ask the questions out there and get help if you need it here. Antonio Brown, he's getting some help. He's getting some pulled out of Dubai, sent back to the United States, and charged with a murder charge here. Again, sometimes you just never know where these careers will end up here. Antonio Brown, who knows what's going to happen now?
This is the most Antonio Brown thing I think I could ever imagine. Like you thought, because he's from this area down here in South Florida.
Yeah.
Now, that's where he lives. And the fact that he thought he was going to stash out in Dubai and not get back to Miami-Dade County and have to answer for him unloading a clip into a crowd at a boxing match is beyond me. But He back in Florida now. Here, we'll see where this goes.
We will see where this goes at this point. I'll tell you where it went last night, a 10-7 final. The Denver Broncos actually 8-2 on the season, a perfect 5-0 at home, but that was an ugly football game. People cutting the cords, can't watch it through YouTube TV. You're lucky you didn't get to watch that game last night if you couldn't, because it was miserable, but the Broncos pull out the victory in a really low performance game. The wind had a lot of issues there, but really, the offenses had most of those issues.
Well, I can tell you what, if you've had insomnia and turned that game on last night by some chance, you probably slept like a baby, because that might have been like watching paint dry, Donnie. That was absolutely horrific on so many levels. But the Raiders, good teams win, great teams cover. I guess the Raiders are a great team because they were never in jeopardy of not covering the 9.5 in that game.
Craig Stammen goes to the Padres. Here's the manager. Get ready to read spreadsheets, buddy.
Wait, you're talking about the reliever who just retired 3 years ago that has never coached or managed at any level? That guy? Oh, okay. Great hire. Sounds great.
By the way, Damon Jones, free on $200,000 bail, had to put up his parents' house for that. That lets me know right up front that if you were an NBA player and you got to use your mom's house as bond, yeah, you were probably doing some devious things to try to get some paper and some scratch together, Joe.
You can't make it up, Donnie. You just can't make it up.
Super tall players playing in college basketball. How about that? And also ESPN Bet. See you later, people. Out the door, the score is going to be involved. Let's get back to the business next. Spreadlines.
We now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
But the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF
is
now.
that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF now.
So he's got an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 17-0.
Keep that dude away from polite society.
Okay, by the way, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is
Numerous Pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Football Friday right here on the Sports Grid Network. Your boy Donnie Rightside along with Joe Ranieri. We get you caught up to date on everything you need to know, which includes the spread lines for some big action taking place tonight and throughout the weekend. Now, if you say, what are the spread lines? What's that mean? Headlines of games and spreads you need to get down with and understand why we're giving these games out. It's easy, Joe, right? Hey, just take the biggest game of the week and give the people a spread line. No, no, no. That's not what we're doing here. We're finding unique situations that you need to know about, which includes, Joe, tonight's action in college football. 9 p.m. out west from the Coliseum. Northwestern taking on USC. This line opened up, Joe, 14.5. This line still sits 14.5 in a total, depending on where you're shopping at, between 50.5 and 51.5. Northwestern and USC tonight. What's the spread line here, Joe?
Well, it's interesting because you got all the tickets and it appears all the money coming in on USC here tonight. But, Donnie, like you had mentioned, I saw this open up at 15. It's only 14.5. So all the tickets, all the money, and yet the line is moving away from the home team here in USC. But the thing that really caught my eye, Donnie, is USC returning home for the first time since October 11th. And last I checked, Lincoln Riley and USC at home is an over machine. The idea that this is at 51 or 50.5 might be one of the lowest totals I can remember for USC taking on, well, not a very good Northwestern team at home. And now we know Northwestern's going to want to keep it lower scoring. They cannot win in a shootout against USC. But are we really thinking they're going to have enough defense to be able to slow down Lincoln Riley and USC at home? I don't think so, Donnie. I think this number is extremely low for a total. They have been, again, with Lincoln Riley at home, they're averaging over 28, close to 30 points a game over the last couple of years. I don't think so, man. I think the Trojans roll. I also think this thing flies over the 50.
How about a game tomorrow starting on a noon kickoff on Saturday afternoon college football? My goodness, the walls are caving in at Colorado right now on Deion Sanders. They're going to take on the West Virginia Mountaineers. This line, Joe, opened up, look-ahead line, around 4.5 to 5 points. We're now seeing it closer to 6.5 and maybe some 7s out there in the sports landscape. A total of 53.5. Deion's boys head east to take on West Virginia. What's your spread line look here, Joe?
They are in absolute turmoil right now in Colorado. Interestingly enough, you got a West Virginia team who has had a carousel of quarterbacks going on there. Finally, Deion is going with Julian Lewis, the 5-star recruit, to take over this struggling offense. The offense, by the way, and a Colorado team that lost by 35 to Arizona and 46 to Utah. And meanwhile, West Virginia and Rich Rod finally putting it together, come off their biggest win of the season, an upset over Houston last week, 45 to 35. But yet we're still seeing this landing under a touchdown. There is just nothing redeeming about Colorado right now. The idea that they are going to bounce back, not without his kids on the team, they're not bouncing back here. I think the money keeps coming in on West Virginia here. I would not be shocked, Donnie, that this thing gets over a touchdown before kick. So if you like West Virginia, bet it sooner rather than later.
From West Virginia to Virginia here, a Saturday night in college football in the ACC. That's Wake Forest taking on Virginia. I see the look-ahead line, Joe, from this game, minus 8.5 or so for Virginia. We're now under a touchdown at multiple outlets at 6.5. There are some 7s out there in the marketplace as well, and a total of 47.5. You see Virginia there at 8-1 in the SEC, taking on 5-3 Wake Forest. What's your spread line here between Wake and Virginia?
Yeah, this is, we've got a couple of very public teams happening this weekend, Donnie. And yeah, Virginia, of course, is really in the driver's seat in the ACC right now. And meanwhile, you've got a Wake Forest team that has maybe one of the better underrated defenses in the country, but can't score. I mean, they've scored 20 points in the last 2 games. Meanwhile, Virginia has put up 31, 17, and 22. But don't forget, this was the Virginia team that started the season averaging 43 points per game in the first 6 games. So, yeah, something has got to give here. And what I think is going to give is this is going to be much more of a rock fight than the public thinks here. I'm not buying it. I think the under is the way to go. Virginia's in uncharted territory here, being at the top of the heap in the ACC. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if they have a letdown here, but it also wouldn't shock me if this thing is a rock fight.
Sunday in the NFL, cold temperatures and windy conditions in the windy city of Chicago. The New York Giants are going to fly to Chicago and take on the Bears. 1 o'clock on Sunday. This line, look ahead, was around 3 points. Now it sits at 4.5 at just about every outlet, Joe. 46.5 as a total. Dart versus Williams here. Spread line, NFL style. What is it?
Weather, Donnie. That's what it's going to be about in this one. It's all about the weather. They are talking about awful weather. We're talking about 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts, potential snow in Chicago on Sunday. So, yes, this feels like it's going to be a lot about trench warfare than anything else, especially since Chicago just put up, 283 yards on the ground last week. And that, I think, is going to continue here with the Giants. So I think there's a reason why we're starting to see the total move up here a little bit, or the total move down, rather, but the line move up a little bit in favor of Chicago. This feels like a situation and weather situation that favors the team that can run the ball. And the team that can run the ball, Donnie, are the Chicago Bears over this Giants defense.
You're right about that. And also understand this, DeAndre Swift practicing full this week. He'll be back with Monungai. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch in that backfield for Chicago against a team that doesn't stop the run all that well. NBA Cup edition tonight, Joe. 8 o'clock start from your area. The Miami Heat taking on the Charlotte Hornets. Spread here, depending on where you're shopping at, between 4.5 to 5 and a total of 241 to 243.5. Points are expected tonight, Hornets and the Heat. What is your spread line here?
Oh, points are expected, but my goodness, poor Eric Spoelstra, man, who had to come home from Denver in the middle of the night last night to find his house completely engulfed in flames and burned down to the ground. Now, they say he is going to be there. They are 2-0 at home so far, just 2-4 on the road. They were 1-3 out west. Nothing like a little home cooking. I think they put it together in a big way tonight and get one for the coach, who's hurting a little bit now, and he's just about lost everything.
There you go. And he realizes, no, I was shopping for better home insurance with another company and let that lapse. Hopefully that wasn't the case for Spo down there in Miami. More NFL hot topics on the way next. It's a Football Friday right here on the SportsGrid Network.
We now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
But the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly, Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF.
So he's got
now.
an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to
Keep
nothing.
that dude away from polite society.
Okay, by the way, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is.
Numerous pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
NFL news and notes here, and again, a bit of sadness across the NFL landscape and the NFL family yesterday. Dallas Cowboys player Marshawn Nealon passed away. The Dallas Cowboys sent out a statement yesterday, and it read, "It is with extreme sadness that the Dallas Cowboys share that Marshawn Nealon tragically passed away this morning. Marshawn was a beloved teammate and a member of our organization. Our thoughts and prayers regarding Marshawn are with his girlfriend Catalina and his family." And yesterday, the NFL around the, it's a big family. You have responses here. We have a couple with Nick Sirianni and Matt Rule responding to Nealon's passing.
How do you strike that balance as a head coach?
Yeah, obviously, the NFL is a brotherhood, and so obviously that was on our mind this morning, and our thoughts and prayers go out to, his family and the Dallas Cowboys. It just puts things in perspective, and I don't really want to speak too much more on that.
So you're poignant seeing the tragic news out of Dallas today, and understanding that none of us know what people are going through. That's why I think we all should be careful about what we say to people. I think we should be careful what we tweet about people. I think we should be cognizant of what everyone's going through. And I told our players they should take their headphones off in the cafeteria and sit down with someone and be like, "How you doing, man? What's going on with you?" Because somebody that we're talking to, that we're saying, "What's wrong with that guy? Man, that guy's messed up." Instead of saying what's wrong with them, we should all say, what would happen to him, because everyone's suffering. And so I look at these opportunities, everyone's kind of, everyone's, going through something. We're going to go on the road together, man. It's just a chance for us all to come together and be a team and unite together and spend time together. And it's maybe old school and kind of, it's not in vogue anymore. Everything's about the transfer portal and, rev share, but I still think young people probably need people that care about them. So that's never more evident today. So thank you guys. I hope you guys are all well as well. Good to see you.
Yeah, tough time for the Dallas Cowboys, just showing back up to the practice facility, but life goes on in the NFL. Games will be played this weekend. It's a shame where Dallas is going to be playing with a heavy heart. Now, granted, this weekend, they don't have a game for the Dallas Cowboys themselves on the bye week, but just kind of tough where you sort of gather your thoughts and you look around like, this was a guy that was with us, and now he's not here. Sometimes that's tough to move on from, Joe.
It's just, it really does suck, Donnie, that it takes a tragedy like this for us to take a step back and just realize that, and Matt Rule said it perfectly there. You have no idea what people are going through. We're so quick to tear people down. We're never quick to ask, "Hey, how are you doing?" And it takes, unfortunately, a tragedy like this for you to go, wow, you know what? Maybe it's really not worth typing that or posting that or doing that, because you just never know what somebody is going through, man. You just don't.
No, you certainly do not know what they're going through at times. They're just a tragedy across the NFL landscape. They'll get through it. They'll get together. Maybe some good can come out of that, where maybe it saves some other people who were going to go down that path and decided to reach out and get some help on that spot here. I'll tell you a guy that probably should reach out and get some help, and maybe NFL players like Tom Brady have helped repeatedly here. Antonio Brown, how about this story from TMZ? Is in custody for attempted murder and is being extradited from Dubai to the United States to answer to those charges here. My goodness, Antonio, always in the news, and it seems like lately for all the wrong reasons, Joe.
I mean, this is the most Antonio Brown thing that you can get. But the idea that he thought he was just going to lay low in Dubai, and that the state's attorney's office wasn't going to find you and wasn't going to figure it out. Unbelievable. He is back, so I can't wait. He's claiming self-defense, but there's a lot of video that night with him in that situation. So we'll see what eventually happens here. But another, what are you doing, Antonio? But we've been saying that for a while with him, have we not?
You see his career path in Pittsburgh, one of the best wide receivers in football, headed for an NFL Hall of Fame career. Couldn't deal with Mike Tomlin, of all people. Shipped out of town, gets the big deal there with the Raiders. Doesn't even play a football game there. Goes to the New England Patriots. Ends up winning a Super Bowl there with Tom Brady. And this was a guy that probably had at least 5 good years left in the NFL with monster money and just couldn't keep it together. Imagine being with Tom Brady and winning Super Bowls and you can't be happy with that. It's unbelievable when you think about it.
What cracks me up, too, is that right after the incident happened, Donnie, they eventually, a couple of days later, issued an arrest warrant for him, but he was already gone. He's been on the run for 4 months now, posting pictures of himself in Dubai. Like, what are you doing? I can't. It's just Antonio Brown. We'll see if anything comes out of it, but my goodness, not a good look.
But does he have the trump card up his sleeve that says, if I get in trouble, hey, I supported you around on the political landscape, man. Where's my get out of jail free card here? We'll find out in the story of Antonio Brown. Let's get to the game last night. Woo, 10-7, Broncos win.
We now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
But the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly, Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF.
So he's got
now.
an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to
Keep
nothing.
that dude away from polite society.
Okay, brother, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is.
Numerous pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Thursday games can always be interesting, and specifically Thursday night football games where it's between two division rivals. That's what you got last night in the Mile High City. The Denver Broncos, a 10-7 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders. Sure, the Denver Broncos will take that. 8-2 now in the season, 5-0 at home. The Las Vegas Raiders just playing out the string at this point, but it was ugly all the way through. Bo Nix, 16 of 28 for only 150 yards and 2 interceptions, a passer rating of 54.2 and a QBR of 27.2. Geno Smith, 16 completions, 26 passing attempts, 143, no touchdowns, and an interception, a QBR of 13 and a passer rating of 60. This is the guy last week that threw 4 touchdown passes, 3 to Brock Bowers. Watching this game, Brock Bowers probably going to have a pretty good game. How about 3 targets, 1 catch for 31 yards, and that's it. You had no offense last night. And by the way, the Denver Broncos defense, they are sack masters out there. They got after Geno Smith 6 times. They got him yesterday. An ugly performance, but the Raiders did cover that spread, Joe.
That's all that matters, Donnie. And quite honestly, if it wasn't for the blocked punt that ricocheted off a guy's helmet and set, of course, them up at the Broncos at the 12-yard line, which is ultimately where they got the final 3 points of the game. They might still be playing this game, Donnie, right now, this morning. That is how bad both of these offenses looked last night in this spot here. And, of course, the Raiders had a chance to tie it up there in their final possession. And, their kicker couldn't make a field goal. So game over. And thank goodness for that, because otherwise we would have had to stay up later and watch that thing.
It's funny, too, because, when you take a look at, week-to-week results in the NFL and where they actually shape up. It's like, all right, you're coming into that game, should be an easy victory for the Broncos. And I'm not saying like 27-20 would have looked better for the Broncos. Hey, the offense was working. We won by 7 points. But the fact that it was 10-7, it almost makes you like recalibrate, like who can actually win this division? Because if you just take a look, the Kansas City Chiefs now back in that even with the Denver Broncos, even though the Broncos have 8 wins and the Kansas City Chiefs have 5 wins. Let me ask you this question because we'll get back to the game. But sometimes the way you win and the way you play has more of an outcome on the actual scenario. Like if the Denver Broncos won 37-7, all systems go. They're easily winning that division. But the fact that they struggle with the Raiders on Thursday night, a lot of people going like, good luck beating the Kansas City Chiefs at this point right now. That's the optics you get. And now we see the Chiefs plus 130, the Denver Broncos plus 130, even though the Broncos won last night, Joe.
Yeah, it was not good. I mean, and if we're going to take this team, I mean, congratulations on your 8 wins, right, Donnie? First team to 8 wins. Kudos. But if we're really going to take you seriously, it's another close game, another 3-point win against a team you should have blown off the field, and yet they went 3 of 13 on third down, penalties, drop passes, blown blocks, missed tackles. It was an absolute mess. Imagine getting the ball at the 17-yard line, or 12-yard line of the Raiders, and your next 3 plays accumulate -2 yards. You can't have that playing at home. That's not an 8-win team, Donnie. That's a team that's getting by, and eventually regression is going to come, especially against better teams who can score, and that's what the Broncos have to worry about.
They do have to worry about that. And again, last night, they had a video after the game at the post-game press conference of Sean Payton talking about, like, yeah, we won, but, like, I got to go back. Like, the Raiders doing stuff we didn't anticipate at this point. And also understand, like, this isn't a Raiders team. It's like, well, what do you want? Cleveland is unbelievable on defense. Like, no, the Raiders were one of the worst defenses in football, and your offense was absolutely pedestrian yesterday, and you won because of a special team block at the end of the game, which you should have set up first and goal, basically, and punched in a touchdown and weren't able to get that. And here's take a look at the Raiders there. Interception, pump block, 9 penalties, missed field goal, touchdown wiped out due to penalty. Like, the Raiders played hard in this game, but again, the Denver Broncos sort of got piecemealed a victory yesterday that maybe they shouldn't have. And keep in mind, the Raiders scored first, and Ashton Genty touchdown in the first quarter to go up 7-0, and they were in control and should have actually tacked on more, but weren't able to do that. And by the way, the weather casters, as I like to say, right? Hey, there's going to be no wind once the game starts. That wind was crazy last night. Swirling is the worst wind you can have, and it affected the kicking game and the punts. How many times you see Denver, Joe? Hey, 50-degree temperatures. We'll kick 70-yard field goals for fun. These guys were passing up 55-yard field goals last night.
Yeah, they were. But, it's one thing to score 18 points against one of the top 3 defenses in the league in the Houston Texans. But it is a whole nother wind or no wind to go up against a Raiders defense that heading into that game, Donnie, was giving up 333 yards per game on average, the 14th most in the league, and you barely scored 10 points. Like, that is not championship football, as we start week 10 here in the NFL season. That offense is going to be what ends up knocking the Broncos out of postseason contention, if anything here. Not the defense. Defense did their job, but kudos to the Raiders for showing a little pride defensively, Max Crosby and company, and getting the job done last night.
Yeah, Max didn't get a sack, but he was really effective on the defensive line, run game, and just creating havoc there in the backfield. But again, you look at some of the stats from this game. 188 total yards for the Raiders, 220 for the Denver Broncos, 10 first downs apiece, which means only 20 for the game. And I know we had a graphic up there. I think it was 13 3-and-outs. Those are sometimes you can get a football game and be low scoring, but this is interesting. Pick up a couple first downs, defensive stand, maybe block a field goal, miss a field goal. But the one thing that I guess is a dream for consumers, if not for consumers, for the actual companies, the commercials, the 3-and-outs, like how boring is that? Like 3-and-out commercial, 3-and-out commercial, like you're getting 3 plays and then actually watching a 3-minute commercial before you come back at that point. Third down efficiency in this game, Joe, 4 of 15 for the Raiders, 5 of 15 for the Denver Broncos. Ridiculous last night. Hey, the NFL in a standalone game, we'll watch. And by the way, when we always talk about bringing gambling back into the equation here, understand this, where they go, maybe we have to take a look at some of the bets that we can actually have in the NFL. Maybe we'll restrict that here. If nobody is betting or can bet the NFL legally, Good luck on your ratings when you have games like that. Hey, look at the NFL ratings. They were high because everybody was only watching because they had bets in place. Outside of the Raider fans and the Denver Bronco fans, why would you be watching that slop fest last night?
It was a rough watch, Donnie. I'm not going to lie. It was rough. But I did have the 9.5 points. So when the Raiders jumped out to a 7-0 lead, I was like, all right, now we're talking. And then it was quite apparent quickly that the defense of the Raiders and Max Crosby figured something out. They figured some things out because they were in Bo Nix. Bo Nix looked about as uncomfortable as I have seen him. So kudos to the Raiders for getting it done. But they did have a touchdown called back on a suspect play in the first half on a suspect penalty that really would have blown that game open for the Raiders. But again, when you're a 2-win team, you don't get the benefit of doubt. You usually don't get those calls, Donnie. And unfortunately, that was a game the Raiders could have won. I can make the argument should have won, but ultimately, like everything else the Broncos do, they squeaked by with a horrific offensive performance.
Yeah, we need some interns to go back because nobody hammered the Raiders more than I did in this offseason, which included Geno Smith. I had no idea why they went after Geno Smith. They should have just got Sam Darnold at that point because he's being very good in Seattle. But Seattle moves on and gets compensation and gets Darnold as one of the better teams in the NFL. And Geno Smith goes down to Vegas like, yeah, I stink. 12 interceptions now on the season. And I don't think it's going to get any better. And you signed him to a big deal. Just a disaster season for the Vegas Raiders here. And Geno Smith is a big part of that.
You might not have to worry about it because I think he pulled his quad in this game. So now you're going to have Kenny Pickett. Yeah, Kenny Pickett going to be your starting quarterback for the Raiders moving forward here. Yikes, from bad to worse.
Exactly. Max Crosby, good football player. Should have traded him at the deadline. I know he loves Vegas, and it's a great lifestyle, and he's the face of the Raiders here at this point. But sooner than later, you have to understand your mistakes. You're coming into the season. Do you see what the Jets are doing? The Jets came into the season. Let's get Justin Fields. It's a look-see here. Oh, that look-see didn't work. Burn it to the ground and rebuild it. And here are the Raiders with Tom Brady like, yeah, everything's fine. A 70-million-year-old head coach, a quarterback that can't play. But we got Max Crosby over there. That should be good enough for the fans to keep in the building. Stop the madness, Raiders. Tear this thing down and fire Tom Brady. Guy made every wrong decision in the offseason you could possibly make. Oh, my goodness, don't get me started on a Friday.
We now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
But the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly, Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF.
So he's got
now.
an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to
Keep
nothing.
that dude away from polite society.
Okay, by the way, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is
Numerous pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Football, we love football, and we love the network because it's a Football Friday. That's what we do. It's Sunny Right Side, and it's Joe Ranieri. We bring on Tom Vecchio to have some fun bright and early, to bring that energy and get you on the right path this weekend with some interesting options out here, Tom. Ugly game last night. Hopefully this weekend isn't as ugly as what we just saw last night, huh?
No, disaster game last night. I assume Broncos fans are happy with their record, but come on, deep down, you got to know this team is not as good as their record indicates. Horrible performance from them. Credit to the Raiders. They played a solid game overall. What they do moving forward is going to be interesting. We got games to talk about this weekend.
We got big games to talk about this weekend, no doubt about it. We actually have an early morning Sunday game there with Atlanta and Indiana. We might get Indianapolis. We'll get there in just a few moments. But the game of the week, and Joe Ranieri will agree on this, the Cleveland Browns on the road to take on the New York Jets. I'm telling you, we shouldn't be paying any attention to the game. I love this game here. You saw the Jets early in the week, Tom, open up as favorites here. They blew up their team. Now they're underdogs here. And I find myself looking towards the New York Jets as that ugly, ugly underdog. How do you play this game between Cleveland and New York?
I don't want to trust either team. Can I know I can bet on a tie. I mean that more from a figurative sense than an actual sense. But I don't know who wins this game. And, Breece Hall wanted to be traded. Part of me thinks he's quit on the team and he just doesn't want to be there. But regardless of that storyline, this is an extremely difficult matchup for him. So I like Breece Hall under 61.5 rushing yards. You look to the Browns defensive stats. They're number one in their defensive line, I should say. They're number one in EPA per rush allowed, number one in rush success rate allowed, number one in stuff run percentage. I know the Jets are devoid of talent, but we are getting Garrett Wilson back. There's no clear path forward for Breece Hall having a successful game unless they give him the ball 30 times, and I just don't see that happening.
How are we getting to 38 points here, Tom? If you could map it out for me here and let me know exactly how and who in their right mind is scoring in this game, I'd love to know here. Because is it all Cleveland? Who does the heavy lifting for an over here?
17-10, I think would be a reasonable score, maybe either direction. My concern would be a late pick six, right? Where maybe we're close to the number, 20-17 or 20-14, whatever it is. Then you get a late pick six by one of these quarterbacks, both inexperienced. And then it's like, wow, we were training under the entire time. X team was covering the entire time. And a pick six sends us over. Bad beat of the week type of thing.
By the way, this next game we're going to talk about, Tom, 4:25 p.m. out on the West Coast. I'm going to tell you right now, San Francisco wins this football game over the Rams. Just give Kyle Shanahan the NFL Coach of the Year because what he's doing is absolutely incredible. We still don't know who the starting quarterback is going to be, but we do know the Rams are coming into this football game looking to put their foot down in the NFC West. If we look at the side on this one, it's 4.5-point favorite on the road for the Rams in a total of 49.5. We're expected to get some points. How are we playing this game between the Rams and the 49ers?
Obviously a difficult spot for the 49ers. I mean, we could say this every week for them when they're not fully healthy. They're constantly up against it. Rotating cast characters, receivers in and out. Jennings is in and out. Kittle's back. We're still not getting Ricky Pearsall. We're still not getting Brock Purdy. At the end of the day, the most consistent option, the player people were worried about the most getting hurt with CMC has been their most consistent, most reliable option. So I just want to stick with CMC and go to him over 51.5 receiving yards, not rushing yards, receiving yards. Pressure from the Rams is very clear up front. Jared Verse leading that group. They're going to get some pressure on Mac Jones, who's been taking a ton of hits and doesn't always look great, but CMC is always good to break off one or two receptions for 15-ish yards, 20 yards, and we really don't need a lot. His reception total is sitting at 5.5, which should tell you the involvement that he has overall in the season. He has a 27.4% target share. He leads the 49ers. So Mac Jones getting the ball out quickly to CMC on some quick dump downs and him breaking them off. That's what I'm expecting, like I'm over 51.5 this week.
Yeah, there we go.
It's so funny, too, because they also lost Mikael Williams, their other edge defender there, to a torn ACL last week. So no Bryce Huff, no Nick Bosa, now no Mikael Williams. And yet, listen, like last night, divisional matchup, big number on the road. Who knows Matt Stafford and company better than what this team is going to do. And don't forget, I mean, the DC there, Saleh, has been here and done this before against this Rams team. It feels a little trappish, does it not, though, just to think that the Rams are going to run away with this on the road?
the Rams weren't able to run away with it when they were at home in that Thursday night game in week 5, whenever that was, and it was essentially the same situation. The number is obviously super interesting. If the number was 2.5, I would be backing the Rams, but it's not. Like that's not the scenario that we're in. So the fact that you're getting the number you are over a field goal and at home, and we have these trends to draw on between McVay and Shanahan, taking the points as a home team, I think is never a bad idea, especially when it comes to this circumstance.
How about a big game here, Tom? I want to talk about 1 o'clock on Sunday. It's an AFC team taking on an NFC team. We saw the Baltimore Ravens last time out smash the Miami Dolphins, which they were supposed to do. Lamar Jackson came back. Maybe not as fleet of foot as we're used to, but certainly that arm was cooking with a couple touchdown passes. But then we saw Minnesota, which I was very surprised. McCarthy comes back, hasn't had a lot of starting time in the NFL. They were really good against Detroit. They're home getting 4.5 points. How do you approach this game? Is it just like Baltimore's the better team they're trying to roll, or is Minnesota really that much better with J.J. McCarthy now because he looked really good against Detroit?
You know, when I first saw this line at 4.5, I was a little bit surprised. I think the Ravens should be 1.5 points. I think this is a bit of an overreaction. And this is not like the Ravens, we know, rolled, and they're coming off of extra rest, but the Vikings look good. Now, are they going to be that good on a week in, week out basis? Are there still going to be growing pains with J.J. McCarthy? But to see a 4.5 number for a team, we're not dealing with a terrible team. Like, they're good. Are they great? Probably not. Is their defense probably their strongest point? Sure. But again, 4.5 at home, I will be looking to take. I think the overcorrection in the market for the Ravens rolling against the Dolphins, again, that doesn't impress me. Beating the Dolphins isn't a big thing. Lamar being back is big for the Ravens. But a 4.5 number for the Vikings who have been pesky at home, I'll take that.
Yeah, the thing I love about that game too, Tom, is because you have the perfect storm of it's on turf, and if Lamar Jackson is right, he can get out of the pocket because one guy that loves the blitz just about as much as anybody in the NFL, it's Brian Flores. If he's bringing extra players and Lamar is healthy, that could mean extra running lanes, or also, if he's not as healthy, maybe it's a perfect tonic how to beat the Baltimore Ravens. But that's Tom Vecchio here on a Football Friday, right here on the SportsGrid Network on the Early Line. Tom, thank you for rising and grinding with us. For Joe and I, we'll get to the NBA next, and then hour number 2 coming up shortly.
Jeremiah Love is a player that you have to keep an eye out on just because of a running back, his versatility, how good he is in the receiving game this year. We haven't seen a running back potentially crack the top 3 when you just think about it with the Heisman Trophy back there. Jeremiah Love just dominant. If Notre Dame wins out and they're in the college football playoff, Love should be involved in the conversation.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Starts off on a positive note of getting Lamar Jackson back Thursday night, which was great. He threw for 200 yards, did not look rusty at all. He only rushed for 15, but he didn't really need that. Lamar Jackson also threw for 4 touchdowns, 2 of which going to Mark Andrews. So guess who's back and relative again at the tight end position now that Lamar's back? Oh, wait, it's Mark Andrews. No kidding. I mean, the guy just catches touchdowns. It's Lamar's favorite guy in the red zone.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly, Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Blue Jays are going to be dangerous for years to come because they have money. They're a fun team. Other players like Guerrero, the Blue Jays are a first-class organization. They treat the players very well. They're first-class complex. As I stated earlier, you can live like across the street from the stadium and there's no drama. You don't have to sit in traffic ever. You have an entire country that buys your jerseys and are big fans of yours.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
We repeatedly say it is a football Friday here on the Sports Grid Network. Why? Because we have awesome stuff on Saturday. I actually have awesome college football on tonight as well. USC, we already did a little preview there in our spread lines here, but a big NFL weekend. But there are some news and notes in the NBA, and that's Eric Spoelstra. Thank goodness, where most people probably don't have to experience like losing a house. And quite frankly, as long as there's no like personal loss in there, if you will. But can you imagine, Joe, like your house goes up for flames, you're out at dinner, you come home and, it's all your stuff is gone. Like, I don't care if you're a millionaire or billionaire, whatever. That's a tough pill to swallow where, okay, you're going to be living out of a hotel. You got to go get new clothes. You don't have your pictures. You don't have your computers. Like, that's got to be an amazing response to you as a human being saying, all right, I got to go to work tomorrow, but my house just burned down the night before. That happened to Eric Spoelstra.
I just crazy, man. I mean, you just lost in Denver, then you got to come home. And Donnie, it wasn't like just a man, like he had extra, like an in-law suite. Yeah. He had like everything went down to flames. They could not get this thing under control, and an investigation is underway. I mean, we're talking about an extremely affluent area in Coral Gables here, where, my goodness, it was like a giant bonfire in the middle there. And he lost pretty much everything in that fire. So he's going to be on the court tonight. They did lose Bam Adebayo in that game against Denver. He will not be available for this game. But I don't know that it much matters because it still feels like we're getting 250 total points in this one.
Yeah, I tell you what, it does matter. LeBron James getting back to 5-on-5, but also, do the Lakers actually need LeBron James? They've been battling injuries, but they're 7-2 without LeBron James on the season. Bron trying to get back and, I don't know, crash the party, mess up the chemistry. Who knows?
Trust me when I tell you, this will drag out through Christmas. That you probably won't see. The earliest, Donnie, that you're going to see LeBron James, I think,
Christmas
will be Christmas. That's it. That's the earliest you will see it. They will drag this thing out as long as the Lakers are winning games and Luke is dropping, double-double, triple-doubles, 30 points, 40 points a game. You will not see him until Christmas at the very least.
All right, let's get the party started here, Joe, on a Friday. There are games tonight, and the NBA Cup is playing. You wouldn't know unless we're probably telling you about it because it's an absolute meaningless, worthless event, which I can't believe the NBA even came up with. It's ridiculous. Maybe you have the NBA. You know what the NBA Cup really is, Joe? The playoffs, where you win playoff rounds and you win an NBA championship. That's the NBA Cup, not some random Friday night game that nobody cares about. And maybe some people will care about the Boston Celtics and the Orlando Magic. This line opened up, Joe, around 5. I'm now seeing 3.5s across the board in a total of 227.5 and 226.5. Cup night in Orlando. Get excited, people.
Well, listen, the Celtics and the Jaylen Brown show, they're getting some guys that are showing up here, some of the younger guys. Joe Mazzulla happy with the direction. But if you are the Orlando Magic, there is nothing to be happy about. They are now back home for a 3-game stand here. It starts tonight. But they have lost 5 out of their last 7 games here, Donnie. And to make matters worse, they turned the ball over 17 times in that last game that they played against Atlanta. 17. Boncaro continues to be an absolute monster, but they can't stop anybody because they're playing out of their element, Donnie. They're trying to play up-tempo when this team is built to play a rock fight of a physical game. And they can't figure it out. And I don't know that the Celtics are the team you're going to figure it out against.
Houston Rockets, San Antonio Spurs. Always love when these guys match up together. And today, the Houston Rockets are a 2.5 to 3.5 point favorite, depending on where you're shopping at in the total, around 224.5. Cup night in San Antonio. What gives tonight here, Joe?
Yeah, not a great game there by San Antonio against the Lakers last time out. But Houston went in there with Kevin Durant to Memphis. And you got to love when Durant is talking total smack to John Morant's father in the front row there. You just gotta absolutely love it here. And Houston is rolling right now. Really rolling. The offense is absolutely fantastic. But anytime you have Wembanyama out there, Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, this is going to be a good one here tonight. But I do give the edge to the Rockets. Better offense right now.
Let's squeeze one in elevation tonight. The Warriors on the road to take on the Nuggets. Look ahead line, Joe, 5.5. I'm now seeing 9.5s and 10s out here. Is the Golden State Warriors throwing the towel in the cup?
Steph Curry likely not going. Still sick. Apparently he's got the flu or something going on there. Steph Curry likely not in. And you got to keep an eye on Jimmy Butler. It's that time of year. Back starts to hurt. And they might not have everybody.
The NBA Cup. What exciting time in the NBA. Not. Back to the football and the hot topics. Get out of here, NBA.